Good morning. Welcome to Friday Lives with Jessica. I am Jessica from Jessica Dawn Coaching. Happy to have you here. Today, I am talking about cultivating joy. This week's theme in social media has been all about joy. And what I have found really interesting, because, this is a business and I do take a look at the stats, is I have had less people engaging with the content on joy. So I'm really curious about what that's about. I've got some assumptions that I make, which is, maybe it's hard for you to connect with a more positive emotion if you're in the midst of struggle. We're almost 2 years into pandemic stuff and still a lot of isolation and rules about mandates and all of that. And maybe I brought out the joy too quickly, but I don't really believe that. I think it's always important to remind ourselves about the potential for positive, even when you're in the midst of a big struggle. You might not be ready to hear it or to really allow it to sink in, but it's important, which is why I was like, okay, I've covered a lot of kind of heavy duty, a little bit more gnarly experiences, emotional experiences on the spectrum. So I wanted to make sure that I added some positivity in there, not because I think that you can just positive everything away. But like I said just a few moments ago, it's important to remember that it's possible and that whatever state you're in now, it's not permanent. We're changing and evolving always as humans. So I brought about the conversation on joy because of a coaching call I had with a client a few weeks ago. I mentioned this in my blog. That's on jessicadawncoaching.com. And that was, this particular client was talking about how she called it backsliding into old habits, eating a lot of foods that she knew weren't healthy for her. And that she realizes because she did not have any pleasure in her life. And you know what? That resonated with me too. I've been into healthy eating for a long, long time, and I can get really focused and rigid in those healthy lifestyles, but I always get to a point where I feel like I am depriving myself. And usually when I get to that point, I realize it's because there's no pleasure, right? And so when I started to explore that need for pleasure, which I think is so critical in life, I started looking at the differences between pleasure and happiness and how they are different. So I've just got a few notes down below. So if you see me looking down, that's what it is. So the differences are pleasure is short-term, dopamine is released. So there's like a quick hit. It's a reward. And so if you look at studies that they do with rodents, there's always a reward system, and they see, what is the thing that's going to cause the rodents to react to the most reward. And, we're a lot like those rodents, there's not a lot of difference. And it can lead to healthy and addictive behaviors. Whereas happiness and joy are different. They last longer. It's a release of serotonin in the brain instead of just the dopamine, which is like a quick hit. There's no reward system to it. The happiness and joy is the result that you're looking for. And your mood is on a pretty level basis rather than going shooting up and getting like the hit and then crashing again, right? Kind of like sugar. So, how can we cultivate reward? No. Well, that's not what I meant. That's an interesting Freudian slip there. Cultivating joy. So what do you do in your life to cultivate joy? How do you define joy, right? That's when I am going into these discussions with clients, it's really, what does joy mean to you? I will say almost universally, when I ask someone that, there's no answer right away. So my homework is usually, when there is no answer, my homework will be go find out what joy means to you. Really sit in contemplation and start to consider, what is your internal definition of joy? When are moments where you have felt joy? I can give you one of my more recent ones that I can, that I really remember thinking, oh, I'm feeling really joyful and content in this moment. And it was at my birthday, which was in the summer. I've had joyful moments since then, but I just remember really taking this moment in. And it was my birthday, and it was the first time my entire family had been together for a meal since the pandemic had begun. Oh, wait, no, that's not true. Since Christmas time, we had gotten together. But still, that was 7 months prior. And so, no, 8 months prior. And so we were out at a restaurant. That was the other thing. We hadn't been out in a restaurant all together for a really, really long time. And I just remember being surrounded by people I love. And there were conversations all around me. And I just really felt my heart fill up with joy and appreciation and gratitude. We were all relaxed because no one was preparing the food. We just, we went there and it was easeful for everyone. And so, I can define those moments, right, where I can actually consciously feel my heart filling up with love, right? So that's one of the ways that I experience joy. So I'd be curious, what are some of the ways that you define joy for yourself? When was the last time you really felt a conscious filling up of your joy cup? I would love for you to let me know in the comments below what that was for you. Or if you're like, oh my gosh, I can't remember it, ask for ways that you might be able to do it. I do suggest some ways to start cultivating that mindful joy in the blog. Some of them, my favorite, taking a bath when I've had a really rough day, even when I haven't, and I just need like a moment to reconnect. Nice bath does it for me. Not everyone likes that. Watching the sun rise in the morning while drinking a nice cup of coffee. Even better if someone else has made the coffee or brought it to me. That might be something that you do, or just that quiet. If you've got a busy life with kids, maybe it's that 30 minutes before the kids start to get things really, really busy. Maybe it's getting into bed with fresh sheets. That, it's so simple, but I love it. So what are ways that you're going to start to define that for yourself? I would love to know. Pop it into the comments. I talk about this in the newsletter. If you haven't signed up for my newsletter, it just comes out once a week. It's pretty simple, straightforward, links you into a blog if there is one. It's just a little bit of, extra love from me. You can sign up at jessicadawncoaching.com. And if you sign up for that newsletter, there's a free gift that comes along with it. And otherwise, I will catch you here in the group later on this week. And if there are topics and subjects that you would like me to cover, please let me know. I am always looking for ways to give back and give you what you're looking for. So let me know, and I will chat with you soon. Bye for now.